We in there. We in there. What's happening? What's happening?
Yep.
Another episode, episode 154. We're talking about a flag on the play. Not just any flag, not a yellow flag, not a green flag, but a red flag on the play today. And a lot of y'all out there, y'all know about those red flags because y'all just ignore them. So that's what we want to talk about on this episode because this phenomenon, ignoring red flags, is becoming a huge problem because y'all complain about the dating pool, but when you do get the inkling that something's wrong, you just go right past it because you want this man or this woman that bad that you just gonna make in your head that okay, whatever I'm seeing, I'm not really seeing.
They become the black carrier.
Yeah, but here's the crazy
blind
part.
all of a sudden.
Here's the crazy part. You gonna pray to God that he open your eyes to see it, and he waving this flag right in front of you.
Right.
And you just say, God, maybe that flag is maroon. Maybe it's magenta.
Maroon?
It's magenta. It's pink. It got to be something else outside of red. Maybe it's orange.
It could be.
As the country folks say back to orange.
Orange.
But as y'all see, we got some special guests with us. We got Lawrence and Tracy Knighton, the Red Flag coaches.
Yeah.
We are here.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. So we y'all know how we start out. We got to check on our people. So we got to make sure that our panelists are good, our guests are good first. Lawrence and Tracy, how are you all doing today? Mentally, physically, emotionally? Y'all good? Everything going well?
It's a lovely day in the neighborhood, like it always is. When you got the right person, every day is a good day.
All right.
I have to agree with her on that.
Well, all right. I like that.
Kudos. But yeah, everything is good. And we actually just appreciative of this opportunity. So we definitely are in a good space.
Yeah.
No
Appreciate
problem at
having
all.
You guys on for sure.
Exactly. We appreciate you all. Trish Michelle, how you doing today? What's going on in your world?
I'm sure to anybody that watched last week can tell that this week I don't look as drained. So it's been a week of since then from Tuesday to Tuesday, it's been a week of better news and things of that sort. So it's just been a little bit lighter and so it's going good. I can't complain. I'm thankful.
Definitely.
I want to
great
talk
to hear
about the
that.
comment under your name. Diddy is a red flag.
Ooh.
It's been a red flag for a few years now. We've just been ignoring them.
A few years, a few decades.
Money will make you ignore some things.
And so what's transpiring or coming to the surface? Don't feel shocked, world.
Right. I like to tell people Tupac told you in Against All Odds, but that's another story. We'll leave that alone.
We're gonna have to find an episode or something about it, because this is the beginning of a whole lot that's about to happen.
Yes, you know it. You know.
Yep, when the red flags come home to roost. All those red flags all these years, and people was like, man, that music jamming though. I mean, don't get it twisted. We fell victim to the same thing with Aura. You know what I'm saying? He had a lot of red flags, and we was like, that music jamming though. So we just overlooked it. But it's like, man, it's in your face now. Like you can't avoid it. It's so much coming out, and to have the feds raid his house, wow.
Yeah.
Major story.
Every electronic. So I'm sure there's something to uncover there that's going to start the train to a lot.
Yeah, man.
Connect a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the next thing our mouth's going to be hanging on.
Yeah.
The red flags was there too.
Oh yeah. They already got some names saying so and so is next, so we shall see.
Ooh.
Yeah, so everybody's interested to find out who was taking that. So it is what it is. So I mean, we'll find out though. We'll find out eventually whether it's all true or whether Diddy has enough money and influence to make it disappear.
That's
another story.
Because it's true. I mean,
because some of it has already disappeared because
some of these people have enough money and influence to make things disappear. So
usually when the feds are involved, though, it's not that easy.
You're right. You're right.
Feds are involved.
Yeah, he ain't got no feds in his pocket. I mean, he ain't in no feds pocket. So
Yeah, they don't listen to his music either, so they don't care about that.
They don't care, right? I thought I told you that we won't stop. Well,
Yeah, that's what they saying. We're gonna stop.
Right.
We ain't gonna stop going through your stuff.
this is the beginning. All right.
All right, Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Talk to us. How you feeling this week, my guy?
man, crazy week in terms of what I'm anticipating. Because this coming week will be the first time I step back officially preaching from the pulpit in some years. So that's going to be interesting this week. Other than that, man, just the anxiety and the anxiousness, because I've been wanting to get back to this space for quite some time. So I'm appreciative of that. So I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, man, everything is, you got some wins, you got some losses, but the wins definitely always overtake the losses. So you focus more on those. And I'm appreciative that the streak continues of W's. So I'm appreciative of that. So
That's what's up. The rusty reverend back in the pulpit. I see you, dog.
Back in there. You know what I mean?
He a little rusty, but he gonna be all right. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
no, we ain't rusty on them skills. You know what I'm saying?
God gonna put some oil on you. He gonna put some oil on you.
Yeah. We gonna hit them hard too. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right.
Facts. Well, I'm happy to hear everybody's doing well. I'm doing well myself. It's one of those deals where you just have to keep positive energy going at all times. Things are gonna happen, things are gonna occur, but nothing's gonna stop us. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what somebody says or what somebody does. God says you got to keep going, so you keep going.
Facts.
All right. So
one direction.
Yes. So speaking of keep going. Again, we go back to these red flags, and that's what we're talking about today, y'all. Y'all just see them and keep going. Now, in all honesty, I can see why some of y'all keep going, because I see how y'all drive. I see a lot of y'all running red lights in real life. So it doesn't surprise me that y'all run red lights, you know what I'm saying, in your dating life and in your private lives. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to things that you should not do, or it says caution, don't proceed here, and you still go ahead and do it. But we have the red flag coaches here to help you out today. So Lawrence and Tracy, can you tell the people a little bit about what you do and what makes you the red flag coaches?
Woo. Well, first of all, let's start here. We are not experts. We're just experienced, and we like to share our experience with other people.
Right.
I've been married before. Lawrence has been married before. And so the way we actually got started with this is during the pandemic, we had a Sunday show that came on every Sunday at 7:00, and it was called Sheltered In with the Nightings. And it was about relationships. And so we had thousands of people who were watching us every Sunday at 7:00 just simply come on and talk about our experience and how, he had a failed marriage and I had a failed marriage, and what we learned from that, and coming from dysfunction, because if you Black in America, you grew up in dysfunction. Okay.
Right.
So having to navigate that and learning what that looks like when you take that dysfunction and say, I want to be in a relationship, and then try to create a relationship out of coming from a dysfunctional place. And so you got to think, how do we take a green light or a green flag, like you said, in driving, then it goes to a yellow flag. We need to take pause and kind of look at it. Then it goes to a pink flag, like, wait a minute. Then we get these red flags, like, dang, I just ran that. But then we take that one step further, because red flags turn into flags on fire. And those flags on fires are the ones that come back and bite you.
Right. Now that's interesting, because when we think of the red flags, right? We see all chaos. We see just a bunch of stuff. When would you say a person officially notices red flags? Is that in the beginning, or what would you say? How does that typically go?
I definitely think that we overlook red flags in the beginning, because in the dating space, everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to this potential mate of ours, and we see things, whether it's the lack of communication, whether it's the way they articulate, whatever it might be for a person.
Right.
We see it, but we keep running past it because we're hoping that this is the one.
Right.
And again, I always say the same thing that she says: whatever we overlook in a relationship is the very thing that'll come back and bite us.
Okay,
that's facts. That's right hand on the Bible. That's the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what would you say, in your opinion, is the one thing that always gets overlooked in the dating space that becomes a red flag? What would you say that is?
If I can speak to the ladies, because most times in these spaces, most of the ladies are watching. So here it is. So in the beginning, right, what you'll have is a man is always going to ask all the questions. He's going to ask all the questions, and the women answer all the questions, and they don't realize they have very little information on him, but he has all the information on her. He does everything he wants her to do, everything she says she likes to do, rather. He's going to give her the flowers if she wants flowers, whatever it is that she says she likes. He's going to make sure that that happens, but they don't realize he's got all this information on you. But what do you have on him? What do you know about him? To me, that's the beginning of the red flag, because women become so emotionally attached so quick that they want a relationship and they just keep going.
Right.
And because we're looking for our happily ever after. Women are raised very early on to read fairy tales and to believe in the happily ever after. So every man we get with, that's always in the back of our minds, like, is he my happily ever after? Men are just trying to figure out what category he's going to put a woman in. But the women are already practicing their last name, their new last names.
Right. Off the top. Like, does my name fit with this? How does so-and-so sound behind?
Look, they use the AI generator to see if the faces merge together and make a baby that looks cute.
Right.
Right. So we're looking for our fairy tale ending when the man is simply going, wait a minute, let me just figure out what category I'm putting you in, mattress or marriage. And so now here you are trying to figure out, well, what's my last name going to be? Am I going to hyphenate it or whatever? He's like, listen, I ain't even there yet.
Hold on.
Last
Because
name
I
is
go
for the
gloss
night.
over what
like
you just
that.
said.
like that.
Mattress or marriage. Come on now, break that down a little bit for us, because
Yeah, she got that from me.
she stole it.
I'm gonna let him take over with that.
Okay, come on, talk to us, because mattress or marriage, because we know in the dating space it's one of the two.
Truth of the matter is, most men, I ain't gonna say most men, all men know whether they're going to be mattress or marriage. And so, for us now, we like to keep everything real, raw, and relevant.
Right.
And so the truth of the matter is, women have to do a better job of interviewing, because when you're dating, that's to get data. Most women don't get data because they're so interested in this great feeling that they're experiencing, this new guy, this new person. And it's the same way with guys. I don't want to think it's just a one-sided thing, because guys get that same hype because they're looking at it from a different perspective. We're thinking about how quick can we make it happen.
Right.
Did I say that? I'm sorry.
No. We saw the head now. It's all right.
Nah, that's good. That's good information, because like you just said, I mean, dating to get the data, and guys is dating to get, what I'm saying, the mattress action. A lot of guys, and if you're special enough, then they take into consideration, because like I said, I mean, just talking to a lot of guys, some of my friends and my homeboys and guys we hang around with at the gym or whatever, just hearing the behind the scenes talk, I'm like, wow. Wow, man. But also we hear from a lot of ladies too, especially on the show and especially in the comments and everything, and their outlook on this. And I mean, it's not surprising to me that the dating pool is kind of raggedy, because of everybody's standpoint, and what everybody's trying to get out of it is not aligned. It's not aligned. Right.
And the sad part is that women, because we want to be in relationships, we want our fairy tale ending, we want the happily ever after, we end up making mistakes and we become desperate. And desperate has a stench to it. There's a stench to desperation. Right. And so men, because men are hunters, right? You all can tell easy on if a woman is going to be easy prey or not. You hate to think of her that way, But the truth, that's just the truth of the matter. Sometimes women, unfortunately, because they are desperate, end up being low-hanging fruit. So it's not a lot of work that goes into it. And what ends up happening is because she is so desperate and she does want to be in a relationship so badly, she makes mistakes. And the very pink flags that she wants to go and fix become those flags on fire that I was talking about.
Now, would you say in that space, because you mentioned how desperate you think sometimes the women are in that space, do you think as men prey upon that, that turns into a red flag for the man to consider? Like, she's so desperate to be wifey or be in a relationship that, like, nah, because I ain't here for that. Do you think that happens in that space?
I don't think a man gonna run from that initially. For me now, I like to keep it real. And I want to say this because the truth of the matter is, and this is just something that I've been thinking about for years, one of the reasons why the dating pool is so difficult, especially for women, is simply because women have made it so easy in the past for a man to get what he wants quick.
Right.
So now it's difficult for a man to change that thought process overnight when all of his life he's been able to get what he wanted quickly.
Right.
And so now women want a man after they've been doing this for a while to be this committed gentleman, to be this guy who, now they don't want to do anything, but now you made it so easy for me all these years. I'll just go to the next person who's going to make it easy for me again.
Right.
They don't want to put the effort in. Right. I'll say they want. I'm not saying all men. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
A lot of men don't want to put the effort in because they never had to.
Right.
I mean, when you create it easy, I remember one of our guests said the same thing before, that men go for the low-hanging fruit because they don't have to put in much effort. If I can get, this for literally nothing, why would I put the extra effort in trying to go marriage, relationship, wife, change myself, or make better choices? Why would I go that route if I don't have to?
Right, because there's plenty of low-hanging fruit to where I don't even have to work. If this one don't work, okay, the lemons ain't hanging low enough. Okay, I'm gonna go over here to the apples. The apples ain't hanging low enough. Okay, I'm gonna go over here to the grapefruit. And so, unfortunately for women, until we raise our standards and we demand better of ourselves, we can't expect men to do better themselves.
Right.
Okay.
I would agree.
I have a question though. So it hasn't always been this way, and I know it's fluctuated.
No. Right.
So when do you see the change? When have you noticed that change occurred from what used to be to what the current scene is now?
I think the change took place. I hate to date myself, but golly, I think because I'll be 54 in September. So to be honest, I really feel like it took place with Generation X, because we were raised in either a very dysfunctional 2-parent household, or we were raised with those single parents. And so mama had to do with whatever she had, however she had. And so there wasn't a lot of structure in our homes for us to even see what positive, healthy relationships look like.
Right.
So there was no demonstration of it. And because there was no demonstration of it, we saw what a different view of what love looks like.
Now that makes total sense, because even before we got to Generation X, Black folks were still marrying at a large rate. Before we got to even during our slavery times, it was kind of intriguing that Black folks were still getting married even under the worst circumstances that they were facing. So that's kind of interesting to hear that.
And you think now with Generation X being the age that we are, a lot of us have been married, a lot of us have been divorced. And so now you're back in the dating pool going, wait a minute, what do I even have to choose from at this point? It's true, because now, even if you've been married for a little bit of time, you're trying to figure out what dating even looks like right now.
Right.
Even trying to have conversations with yourself. Is it even worth it for me as a woman to even put myself out there?
Right.
Because there are so many things that are tainted. People carrying baggage. That's just the truth.
Right.
We all got baggage.
Right.
All giving baggage to somebody else, and we're all carrying somebody else's baggage.
Right.
And so now that trauma now plays a part in our relationships, because it used to be that we just pack trauma away and we call it, well, they got some issues. And that's what we would call it, was issues. But now we've given it its true name, and it's trauma. And we are still trying to unpack trauma in the midst of trying to figure out how to date and be in relationships with other folks who got trauma and baggage. And that makes it harder.
Right. And don't know how to deal with theirs. So do you think that that's one of the reasons why people are willing to accept or overlook red flags, is because they have their own? So they don't want to be too judgmental or too condescending or whatever it may be, that, oh, he got issues, I got issues too. So why don't we merge this together? Do you think that's one of the reasons why many people overlook those red flags?
Let's take that one step further. If I focus on your red flags, I don't have to focus on mine.
Very true.
Right? So if I could look at you and hope that you make me happy so I don't have to focus on mine, then that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Looking for other people to heal us when that's not healing.
Right.
That is not healing.
That's it.
One of the biggest things that I've seen the last 10 years, and this has been a real big issue, is that we have been hindered from becoming healthy and whole, because in our culture, getting support for your mental health or for your trauma or for your dysfunction has been sort of taboo. And so now people are getting into relationships with all of this baggage, not realizing that until you get healed from your hurts, all you will do is bleed on people that didn't cut you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
I
what
agree with that.
Happening with your red flags.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the sadder thing is now we're bleeding on children.
Mm-hmm.
So now our trauma is generational.
Right.
Yeah.
So Big Mama had her red flags and her issues.
Mm-hmm.
She passed it down to my mama. Now I got them, and now I'm passing it down to my children. And we've got all of this trauma and all of these red flags. We don't know how to communicate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We think that hitting and beating on each other is proper attention and communication.
Right.
And so now we even have unchecked mental health issues. And so now some of those issues can be transgenerational. And so we've got all of this going on, and we just sit back and go, but I love him. He brings out the best in me. Wait a minute, sis. How does that happen? Explain that to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just get caught up in the physical, and the physical is such a huge piece of it because it's the first thing you see, and you get enamored with this person's physical appearance and the things that you like about them. And then when those red flags start to occur, you kind of weighing out whether it's the good outweigh the bad. Well, he's this nice looking, she's this nice looking, she's shaped like this, and he got this body. Is me getting rid of him or her, worth, these red flags? We can get over that. Like Ben just said earlier, if they have, small issues here and there, we can get over those things.
Right.
But like you said before, some of those things, they appear small at the beginning, but they snowball throughout the time you all together, and they get bigger and bigger. And then next thing you know, it's a huge problem. But now you've invested so much time and energy into it. Now it's that, do I want to leave because I've spent so much time making this mistake? Do I want to leave all this work and effort that I put into it?
And that physical gets them. We're visual creatures. So you see something nice, well put together in a woman. Hey girl, what's your name? You know what I mean? You ain't even worried about all of the extra stuff until you get under the hood in the mind and see all of the other issues there. And then that's when, if you're reflective enough, if you're looking at, your issues enough, you'll be like, whoa, like, hold on, this is a little bit too much to deal with. But by now you done did everything. You done went to the mattress.
And see, and then I was gonna say, and then once you go to the mattress, the women have already connected with this next set of emotions, whereas we can just walk away.
Right.
It's like, I don't feel like dealing with this. Now they're attached.
Right.
Yeah. I'm about to say, she ain't gonna let him walk away though.
Right. And, and when you got the red flags, you're going to see some more red flags if you try to walk away.
Yeah, really. They'll be singing that Jasmine Sullivan song, "You bust the windows out my car."
But for the women, it becomes the financial. They're looking for all these men to pay for everything. Now he's taking care of your bills. He's paying your rent. He's paying your car note. You see all these red flags, but you can't let him go because you don't want to pay your car note. You don't want to pay your bills. You don't. So you continue to deal with, bull, but you're stuck there, so to speak, because that's what you want so bad. So everybody's clouded by this, either physical or financial, that they wanted somebody. They feel like they need this person. When you get out of that, you don't need them.
Right.
And we get stuck, and we literally get stuck until the point to where now we've lost who we really are, because we're so busy trying to stay in a place that's so dysfunctional, that's draining the life out of us, that instead of living a better life, we're starting to live a bitter life.
Better life.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's
a
a lot
spot,
of
man.
Yeah, it's a lot of facts being put out here. Let me catch a couple of these comments. We appreciate the people commenting, you know what I'm saying, and their feedback. So a lot of people were drawn to that marriage versus the mattress. I think that's gonna be a clip right there for sure.
That is a fact.
For sure. Yeah, that was a good one.
That next book.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that too. We want y'all to let them know what you got working on, you know what I'm saying, in the future, so these people can continue to support you and follow you. But all right, so the comments, we got Yaz Johnson. We appreciate you tuning in. She said, great conversation. In this day and time, people have weddings and never got married, which is a big difference. And we talk about that too a lot. People want the wedding, but they don't really want the marriage, right? They don't know what the marriage piece takes, to make it successful. They just see the glitz and glamour of people having weddings and people having nice receptions and flying all over the place, but they don't see the work that goes on with the actual marriage piece of it. But today with the red flags, see, hopefully if we give you some good information before you get to the marriage piece of it, just in the dating part of it, you can notice the red flags and kind of weed out some folks, so you don't get to spend all this money on these ceremonies, and then the actual foundation of it is not already cracked when you start building your house.
Yeah. You know what that makes me think about? I think it's Portia or whichever one of them Real Housewives or whoever that got married to the African dude. I don't know if he's African or not, but whatever. They had a big glamorous wedding. She did a traditional, his family stuff and all that great stuff. And they are divorced within months, and they are going at it. Police at the mansion and all kind of stuff. And it's like, this didn't just all of a sudden become a nightmare.
Right.
And all of a sudden she ain't just crazy today, and you ain't just all of a sudden this person that she didn't just want suddenly. So it's like, there's some red flags that were skipped, obviously there, but they had the wedding, like the commenter said, and they didn't really have a marriage, clearly.
Right. Yeah. The mattress game probably was fire.
Well,
bro put it down, and that was it. And,
we actually
had a little bit of ends.
We did an episode one time that talked about sex will make you stay longer than you want to.
Right.
Good sex will make you stay longer than you want to.
It'll make you double back too when you thought you was done, and you there again, and you're like, dang.
Like, hold on.
You're done again, and you're done again.
So
get that text late at night.
Right. Since we've grown now, I think we should have the conversation and understand why God told us to save ourselves.
Right.
Like,
sure.
Wait. Because now that we're grown, we're starting to see the ramifications of when we go to that mattress game, on why it should be held to the highest regard. Would you guys agree with that, or what would you add to that space?
I agree.
I absolutely agree. Here's the thing. It's one of the things that I see, even because me looking at this story in Genesis with Adam, right? Mm-hmm. It was only when Adam was working in his purpose, Adam was fulfilling his purpose, that God said to him, it's not good for you to be alone. Adam didn't even know he needed a woman, because he was already fulfilled and he was already complete by himself.
Right.
So many times we get into relationships and we're not complete within ourselves, and we're wanting somebody to help complete us. But the point I'm making inside of that, like you're just saying, we have to make sure that we are at a space or in a place where we can literally say to ourselves, I'm ready now for this thing. Because most times we get in it and we just run, and we don't realize that eventually we're going to run out because we're not ready for it. But again, like you're saying, this now I think a lot of people are saying that I should just save myself until marriage. I don't went through these people, and now I can't find nobody.
Right. And you done went through some extra troubles medically and all types of stuff. So
but
it's
hold
some
on
issues
though.
out there.
But hold on though. You got to take into context. And this is what we've heard many times when you talk about not having sex or abstaining and doing all this good stuff. And it sounds good in theory, but these folks that have been out there for a while, they ain't trying to hear that. And especially a lot of the women have said constantly that they ain't trying to abstain and trying to, get to a point in a relationship where they wait, because what if the guy's trash? What if he got a little joint? What if he got a little joint? You know what I'm saying? And all this other stuff. That
is a fact, though.
And they don't want to spend and invest this time and effort into somebody who is not going to please them on the mattress. So
at this point, they could do a Carfax on the mattress. They figured out without having
to. You're right about it. You also right about it too.
I mean, at this point, you ain't even got to actually look. Men definitely ask questions about women they meet with their homeboys. So women need to start doing the same thing.
Women got to do a better job of collecting data instead of trying to live happily ever after.
Back to what Lauren said at the beginning.
Yeah.
We don't ask enough questions. We don't find out enough information.
Right.
Even with that.
Right.
And that's good, because it is a two-edged sword. Because what if you do get into a relationship and you've been abstaining, and then if you are now at the space where you want to be married and you've been abstaining, and you are a hyposexual person and you've been abstaining, and then you get married, and then it isn't what you decided it should be, that could be a potential issue for you as well. So how would you guys recommend someone in that space? Or what would you recommend someone in that space? What would you recommend for them to do?
I think we're gonna have to have a lot of conversations with the therapist, really, or something. Well, I say conversations within themselves first to try to see what can we do. Because here's another thing you got to realize is that the average woman, and I'm not talking about all, but the average woman has had her share, just like the average man has had his share.
Right.
And what has happened is somebody in that share of men or women has done something for them, to them, that they still have in their brain, and they're trying to make a comparison that he doesn't do it like this one used to do it, and that's a dilemma in itself. And so it can be a bigger problem, in the long run for a lot of women and men, because even a man could have had somebody in the space of his time that rocked his world, like Michael Jackson, you rock my world. Just be the opposite. And so it's a problem either way, because again, it goes back to those experiences that they've had, both men and women. In their mind, they got one person they remember, if not two or three.
Right. And I believe there's a term for it that, and I have to look it up, make sure, it's called pair bonding. Mm-hmm. And it is said that when a woman has more than 5 sexual partners, that because of the pair bonding, she's less likely to be happy in a marriage, because she's comparing the thoughts in her mind over to what someone else did, and that makes it difficult.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say it's just women.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, I was about to say,
we know the brothers is in there too. We know this for a fact.
Oh yeah.
Like, hold on. All
right. So Yaz Johnson posed a good question. She said to each of us. So she said, do you think that you would have been a better person if you never had sex before your current situation, or whatever the case may be? So I thought about this often, and if you can start from ground zero, you have no comparison. That's what I always tell people. You have zero comparison. Right. So if you have zero comparison, whatever you do experience with that person is
Right.
creating something new each time, and whatever you add to your repertoire is new to each of you. So there's no comparing. So I think that makes it better across the board for everybody if that's the, if that's the situation. But unfortunately in 2024,
Right. That ain't
that's
it.
like
Ain't
that's,
it?
you ain't gonna find too many brand new cars out here. Most of them been driven a little bit.
That is
So
true.
you know what I'm saying. So I mean, I think that's the end of that. So you just have to kind of navigate those as they go. And like Trisha Michelle said earlier, people come with Carfax, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't go to the dealership to get their car maintenance to get their stuff, to put on the record. So they got a lot of stuff that's missing.
That's going on.
They got a lot of
They done
stuff
took
that's
it to the
missing from their
bootleg mechanic.
yeah.
He
They
done
got a
put
lot
a
of stuff
part
that's
that
missing
ain't
from their
supposed to be
report,
on
and
there on that
it,
track.
they might got some frame damage that they ain't telling you about, and you buy that car. you
They was totaled.
yeah, you out here.
What about what you
They was
what you call
totaled
that?
out.
The record title.
Salvage vehicle.
Salvage
It's the
title.
salvage title. Yep,
Salvage
they got a
title.
salvage title. Yeah, and they ain't telling you nothing. You out here buying a lemon, and you don't even know it. So
And some people like to refurbish cars. So I mean, we got a lot of mix of different out here, man, and it's interesting. It's quite interesting. So, with all that being said, if you are counseling somebody, and Miss Tracy, you are a licensed therapist, correct?
Yes.
So, if you're counseling somebody who comes into your office and they are dealing with the hypersexual concept and they're dating, what would you advise them? What would you say to them if they came into your space?
First of all, I would want them to be more self-aware of why they are hypersexual. What is actually going on within you that's causing you to externally look for things to please you and pleasure you.
Right.
Because there is a level of self-awareness there that we have to tap into. And
Right.
that's no different than a person who shops all the time or is addicted to drugs or addicted to pornography or gambling or anything of that nature. We got to look inward first, because anything external is a reflection of what's going on internally.
Right.
So relationships externally are built on the relationship that you have with yourself internally. So I'm looking to do inward work before we do this outward work.
Right. And you would consider it a red flag if that person isn't willing to work on that internal, correct?
Right. Because part of it could be that there's trauma that we hadn't dealt with from childhood.
Right.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people that get raped or molested
Exactly.
become hypersexual, and those are the things to uncover.
For sure.
And so yeah, for sure, you gotta go back. You gotta take it back.
Yep.
Now,
So
I know that's a sore spot for a lot of people. So, how much would that person, them wanting to uncover that to someone? I know that's a challenging thought, I'm sure. So, how do I get them to uncover that or talk about that when they don't want to, per se?
yeah, because it's a hurtful thing. And so oftentimes what we do is we self-medicate with a lot of external things so we don't have to deal with what's going on internally.
Right.
And so that's really not a conversation we're gonna have right off the bat. It may take us 3 or 4 sessions to even get to that point to where you can admit out loud that this event happened to you. And so there's a lot of work that goes into what I call the pre-work, that before we can even get to the game.
Right.
The game will be dealing with the trauma itself, but there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes and dealing with what happened to you or what is happening to you that's causing you to tap out of what's happening in your reality to say that the only way that I know how to self-soothe is to be a hypersexual person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, so we're talking about red flags, people, and we know y'all know a bunch of red flags, but I have a list of some potential red flags, and I just wanted to bring up those here and there. The number one on my list is when I looked at it and I read some of the examples, and I said this is number one on the list because it's very tricky, and a lot of people might not have heard of it, but it's called love bombing.
Oh yeah.
And love bombing is very tricky because it comes with these things: excessive compliments, spending too much time together too soon, constant gifts, texting, emailing, calling all day, all night, just blowing you up, asking you to spend time with them rather than your friends. So
Right.
trying to keep you to themselves, mirroring all your interests. Whatever you're interested in, I'm interested in. Whatever you want to do, I want to do.
Right.
It's just excessive interest in your background, your life, your interests, wanting to take things to the next level quickly. Now, all these things I named out, there's somebody who's looking at this like, I want all that. I
want all
don't
that.
mind
Right.
So who's the red flag? The person that gets it.
Yeah. Like, hold on, because I know she want that. Like, hold on.
I mean, when you hear some of this stuff, like a lot of things that I hear from a lot of ladies is, well, he doesn't call me enough, or he doesn't text me enough. He's not showing enough interest. Well, this person is love bombing. They're gonna do that all day, every day, and that's a red flag. But because it's what a lot of people are seeking their attention, they don't see it as a red flag. They see it as, oh, they just showing a lot of interest in it.
A lot of interest, right? So, Lawrence, how would you handle that if you are dealing with a situation and a person is in that space being love bombed? How would you coach them in that space?
Well, I mean, again, it's actually just going back to what Tracy was saying, that a person has to be able to ask themselves, why am I so codependent? Why am I so just desperate is really another word I want to use.
Right. That's
because the truth of the matter is, in every relationship, I don't care where a person meets a person or how they meet, in the beginning, it's always going to be exciting. In the beginning, it's always going to be great conversation. In the beginning, it's always going to be exciting dates for the most part, in most instances.
Right.
So all of that love bombing, the calling all the time, the texting, but here's where the shift changes. And here's where women continue to overlook red flags. So once a man gets what he wants, because he's doing all these extra things, then you'll start seeing a little decline in all of this same areas that were just mentioned. Because for us, we're going to do everything you want us to do. We're going to call you. We're going to text you how your day going. We're going to do all of that. Because in our minds, we have one, most times we have one thing on our mind. Let's see what this is like. And so once we do that, it starts to become, okay, yeah, I'll do it again. But then the calls stop as much, the text stop as much, the communication stops as much. And so you have this sort of spiral going down, but women start, well, what's going on? Well,
I got what I want.
You got what you want. So the consistency there. So ladies, how to deal with that red flag, you got to look for the consistency, right?
I
mean,
I say yes to that too, but I also say like reality too. Like y'all, like he said at the beginning, everybody's spending a whole lot of time, they investing and they're doing all this stuff. But now, like realistically, y'all got kids, you got a job, you got life, you got parents, you got whatever else going on. So now it's like, okay, you here? Yes, I do have you. That is true. Right. But now, realistically, this is life. Like I'm taking my kids on my break this time, or I'm not calling you all the time no more. But it is a big piece of it is I got you now too. So I mean, but I don't think it's that much of as a red flag, except for if like he starts to not come home and stuff. Now that might be different. You don't gotta, but that's the attachment too. Now that to me, I think that's on the other side where you feel like a person needs to talk to you all day. Like
that is a bit much though, right?
I think that's a little like you got some like abandonment issues, or like you got some like something else is there, like where you feel like somebody has to be.
So are you identifying whether it's an attachment issue or not? Does that become a red flag for you?
Yeah, I'm like, where is that? When do you look at that part?
Right.
The attachment.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
Right. Because you do have a lot of people out here with attachment anxiety. You do have that out there. That is a thing.
Right. And it can be overwhelming to the point to where now they're too clingy, which is the opposite. You're not giving me enough attention, and now you're giving me way too much attention. And so how do we find that happy median? And that goes back to the other person that's in that relationship. What are your wants? What are your needs? What are your expectations? And what are your non-negotiables? Those are the four things that you got to know about yourself before you even get into a relationship with
Right.
somebody. So if you're a person that doesn't require, I don't need you calling me 5 and 6 times a day.
Right.
But now you're getting involved. I won't say a relationship because sometimes they don't even make it to the ship part. But you're getting in something with somebody, and they're constantly contacting you. Okay, that might be a pink flag for you. You might need to discuss what your wants, needs, and expectations are.
Right.
Because eventually it's gonna get on your nerves, and now you're ready to exit stage left, but now the person is all in.
Right.
You like, I got a stage 5 clinger. I gotta go.
Stage 5. Yeah, like, hold on, wait a minute. We got a little bit going on. So what do you do to the person who actually doesn't mind a woman being clingy to them? That's what they like. That's what they love.
Cool. What's wrong with that?
Right.
That's
Nothing wrong with it, right? It should be cool. You gotta communicate.
To me, that's on them.
Right. Hold on. I see Tracy looking right there. Come on now. Hold on.
I'm like, if that's what you want,
Hold on. Is it too much? What's going on?
Well, I'm questioning that because two individuals come together to make a relationship.
Right.
But if I'm so clingy to you that your wants, the needs, and expectations kind of blur into mine, then where does my independence as a person begin to show?
Okay.
And lose yourself. Yeah.
Right. Because if we're having conversations and the conversations are always about you and what you want, that's a red flag.
I would say that's a big red flag
because that's gonna end up being a flag.
Right, and you pushing your and Lawrence mentioned this earlier with Adam. He had his purpose established already, and that, and to a degree, made him secure. And so that's important within itself. So if you have a partner who isn't interested in you becoming your full self and reaching your ambitions and your goals, you might need to double check on that for sure. Because most people who are getting their fair share of the wealth don't have a problem with thinking for themselves and doing for themselves. So you have to be careful in that space.
Right. And that's why I was looking, because I was wondering, I was like, what I wanted when I was 25 is not now what I want at 54. Right. What I needed at 25 is not what I need at 54.
Right.
Right. What I expected at 25 is not what I expected at 54. So even now at 54, Lawrence and I have been married 22 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. We've been married 22 years in September. Listen, there are times when he has to go, and I'm like, okay, go have fun, enjoy, go deep sea fishing or go do whatever it is you want to do, when you go to the different shows and everything. And I'm okay with that. As a matter of fact, I'm sending him.
Like, see you later, Lawrence. Going on over there and hang out. Man.
That's because I know he needs his time.
Right.
And so that's the healthy part. His individual, my individual, we come together and we make a couple. So I shouldn't be looking for him to complete me because I'm complete in and all of myself.
Yourself, right.
Yeah.
That's when you've gotten to that stage. So that's important. Working on yourself, making sure you're good, making sure you hold within yourself. Of course, you can only get that in your relationship with God and understand your purpose. So walking that out is important before you meet somebody.
For sure.
Question though, because Tracy said something great. When she was in her 25s, is not what she wanted in her 50s. So we talked about Dre and Michelle.
Okay.
If these are, you get older and these aren't things you're looking for when you're 15, 20 years older than this individual, and this person can't mirror that. Is that a red flag over here for the younger, or a red flag for the woman over there that's 40 something and he's 21? I think, like, what is she looking for? What could you think possibly? What is going on there?
Do you really want me to answer that out loud?
Oh,
of course. This is the 5 step. We done had a few lift your hands moments, and we haven't lifted our hands yet. I just want y'all to know that. But this is potential,
because we know it ain't.
Mm-hmm. Because my first question is, why is she trying to get with her son?
But her son is 21 too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because there is nothing, let's just be honest, a 54-year-old woman with a 21-year-old man, that that is a red flag to me, not of the 21-year-old, but of the 54-year-old woman.
She ain't got to be that old. She can be in her 40s.
No, so she is like in her 40s, but still,
Yeah.
it's just like, for me, that poor 21-year-old, what trauma could that create for somebody that young? Could it create any?
Well, let's be honest. With a 21-year-old boy, let's just be honest.
She's saying Michael Jackson to rock my world,
She putting that guap guap.
But could he have mommy issues?
And she's experienced.
Correct.
And the catch with that is that because she's so well experienced, and we know she's experienced because of who she dated prior
She
to.
reclaimed her whole card, okay?
Right.
That's what she did.
And that's a space. So, but that may be his flavor. Obviously, it is. So, how do you deal with that?
No, that is not. I'm telling you, that is not his flavor, because if you have not been watching the blogs and the news, he possibly has 2 other chicks pregnant at the same time that he got this chick pregnant. So it's 2 other women that have come forward and said that they pregnant with his baby as well.
Right.
Around the same time frame. One of them is almost identical month that Drea is pregnant, far along. So I mean, at the end of the day, if a woman is 40-something years old and the dude is 20, she wants some D, and that dude is an NBA star, so she want an 18-year contract. That's what I call it. That's what I call it.
And that's what I was going to say.
I call it an 18-year contract, because she knows if she has a baby by this guy, she's gonna have a contract for 18 years. He gonna have to pay that money.
That's it.
And she gonna be taken care of regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because,
and the initial red flag was the age difference.
Exactly. Absolutely. Y'all ain't got nothing in common. Y'all can't even have a conversation, a generational conversation.
Right, on the emotional level at all.
Yeah, there is no emotional currency. There's no emotional currency exchange between the two of you.
Now, what if she knew all of this going in, and that was her standard, that I need this if we're going to talk? What kind of issue does that create right there? That she knows what's going on. She's like, well, if we're going to date, this is what I want.
She got internal issues. That's just the end of it.
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit.
She the lemon that fell on the ground.
She ain't even hanging on.
She ain't hanging on.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? He got to it before the sun scorched her, I guess. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And the worms and everything got to the limit. So I don't know.
All right. So those are definitely a lot of red flags. But another red flag I want to bring up, because this happens a lot in relationships, and I hear this a lot. Another red flag is when that person you're talking to, they talk about their exes a lot. Number one. Number two, all their exes are all crazy. So there's definitely a red flag, because if all their exes are crazy, that's saying a lot about that person. Something somewhere is not right. So so Lawrence Tracy, talk to us about that. I know you all have probably come into contact with people who say it's always something wrong with their exes. It's never them. It's something wrong with the ex.
Right.
And that first response I always give to them, I said, if something's wrong with them, it has to be something wrong with you.
Right.
Because why you keep
that's just a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
No, that's just honest to God fact.
If she's cray, that means you got to be cray for finding all these cray women.
Cray attract cray.
Yeah, it attracts each other.
That's a no-brainer for me.
Now, there is a quote from forgetting his name. There's a famous psychologist, and he says that what you continue to say or repeat, you're not over.
Right.
No question.
So if you find somebody and you're talking to them, and all they are talking about is their ex and their past relationships on a consistent basis, you've been talking to them for months, they're not over that situation. So you got to be careful, because you're in a space now where potentially this woman is just there to make her ex jealous,
right,
or something to the tune of that.
Right.
Yeah. Then don't let them say, look, well, I'm only mentioning my ex because that's the only example that I have. No.
We got TV and everything out here nowadays.
Yeah. You still living there trying to figure out what happened. And so that is definitely a red flag, because that means, number one, you're still living there in the past. You hadn't gotten over what's happening. and you're using what you're currently in as a means to even justify what you did in the past, or to even make sense of what you've done in the past. So either way, it's still a red flag, and the red flag doesn't have anything to do with the person you're with. It has everything to do with you.
Right.
And
you're the denominator.
I think the other part of it is anytime anyone, male or female, runs into someone or meets someone who always has the other person as the problem, that's a big red flag to not even go to the next step, because a person who will not admit that they had a role to play in something, because we all have a role to play in a relationship dissolving at some point or another. That's why we tell people to do relationship autopsies. When a relationship goes south, do an autopsy and see what part did I play in that.
Right.
I mean, that's true. You have to, for sure. I think that also brings like truth to the statement where you keep running into the same bad men, so to speak. And then people say, well, what if it's you? Because you could very much be the problem. There's something there. Like you said, a common denominator there.
Right. How
if
is
you
it
ever work on yourself, that's what you're going to
type of man?
Right, exactly. The same pattern, same person, same type, same issues, same outcome. I mean, a couple times, it's time to assess yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem when you have people who constantly date the same type of people all the time.
Right.
And they don't look outside of certain things. They have certain requirements. And I when people come to me and ask for advice from me, and they're talking about certain people, I'm like, this sounds like your last boyfriend. This sounds like the last chick you was talking to.
Right.
So you have this thing where you go and you seek the same person. That's part of your problem. Like you need to step out of that and look at some other people, because obviously these chicks with these big butts, if that's your thing, but that's causing a problem for you. Maybe you need to look at one with a little bit more pancake. You know what I'm saying?
Get your little pancake. Get your little pancake.
Pancake. Maybe she have a better personality. Yeah, then it might work out. But those are the things that I mean, I'm just blown away by people that keep having the same issues, and they keep having people with the same red flags. But I'm like, you're dating the same person over and over again because you have a type, and you won't veer from that.
Correct.
I think what is stupid there, though, in result of that, the women that do say, okay, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to get a white man. You think there ain't no sorry white dude, Hispanic dude,
whatever you want to call it,
Japanese, like, so I think that's the only thing that's their solution. Okay, I'm thinking about dating white now because all the black men this, or I'm thinking about no. Right. It's the type of traits, personality, and things within a person that can exist in any race whatsoever. Right. So that's what we need you women, men to hold on to. It ain't just black women or whatever race that you have an issue with.
Right. And that's why I ask people, how are you showing up in the relationship? Because if you keep telling me that the relationship ended this way and you're involved in all of these relationships, then my question to you is, how are you showing up? Because the truth of the matter, I'll give you an example. Some women say, well, I was doing everything for him. I was paying, he would give me his checkbook and I would pay the bills, and I would go to the cleaners and get his clothes. I would make sure he had dinner. I would make sure this, and this. I said, don't no man want to be married to his mama. So if you keep showing up like a man's mama, eventually he gonna go find him a girlfriend, because don't no man want to bang his mama.
And so, he didn't want no caretaker.
So the problem becomes you and the way you're showing up in the relationship, not necessarily the people that you're choosing. How are you allowing yourself to be in these spaces?
Right.
Yeah.
That requires a self-check. If we would judge ourselves, there is no need for anybody else to judge us, because we have a grip on, that's my problem, that's my issue. How do I rectify it? How do I fix it? How do I deal with it? And that creates a whole different level of healthy, whoever you're dealing with, because you're not at the conversation table always talking about somebody else's flaws, but you have your own to deal with. So what am I dealing with today? Well, I'm just getting over, my mom passing, or my son passing, or all of this. and it creates a different space when you're dealing with people. It just
And
invites a
you,
different type
you
of
gotta be
presence.
careful with that. Your trauma bond.
Very true.
Yeah,
But
that's
if you're checking on yourself though, you don't want somebody per se that's dealing with the same traumas as you. If I could be honest,
well. I
you're
think
looking for somebody outside
I,
of that.
I think what you're talking about too is a little bit tricky because especially if you're in a dating phase, you can expose too much to
Right.
Yeah.
people and they can use that against you
For sure.
because if you got somebody and you tell them that you're mourning because of the passing of somebody, there's a lot of people out here, male and female, that are both predators and that'll see
Right.
that as an opening and they're going to exploit that because they know that you're in a vulnerable space.
For
Right.
sure.
So you have to be very careful with the information that you put out there. It's okay to share things,
Right.
but you have to be very calculated, especially nowadays, because it's a lot of people out there looking for, like we said, they ain't looking for love, they're looking for help.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
don't get too confused. So you have to be very
Right. That's
careful.
right.
So Lawrence and Tracy, when you are talking to maybe a person and you notice that they have I guess a tendency to date the same person or the same type of people, is there a way that you can talk to them? Because I've tried to talk to people and try to get them away from those type of people and they just won't do it. Like, what can you tell somebody that continuously picks the same type of people to get them away from those type of people to try something new?
Yeah.
I really think that it's difficult to even give them any advice on that simply because they still have not taken the time to really see I may have something internal going on. And so I promise you, these last 10 years, I have really seen how imperative it is for people to really get therapy because a person's going to keep continuously picking the same type of people until they realize that, you know what, I've got some baggage that I'm carrying that I didn't even really know was mine. And if I could take about 30 seconds to share this, my brother and I, well, we all grew up with two-parent family. And my mom and dad, every now and then used to fight, like physical. So we have to go in there and break up fights when we were like young, 8, 9, 10 years old. But here's the catch. My brother and I were on the phone one day when we were in our 40s. And we started talking about our childhood. And we started talking about how they used to fight. We used to go in there and break it up. And man, we were crying like babies. I'm in my 40s. I realized then I was carrying baggage from my childhood that wasn't even mine. I had to call ex-wife and say, you know what? It wasn't you, it was me.
Right.
And so I started the healing process after that. Then it was like, okay, now I'm better now. I know how to pick better because you can't pick right if you're not right.
Right.
Yeah.
You just can't.
And I think that's a reoccurring theme, and a couple of times that sentiment has been echoed tonight. People, you gotta fix yourself before you go into another relationship.
Absolutely.
That's why I think it's important for people to understand too, when you break up with somebody, give yourself some time in between.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
Right.
the best solution for after a relationship, like they said, the best solution for getting over somebody ain't to get under somebody right away. Right.
Right.
You need to
I
have
like
some
that.
time. You need to have some time in between so you
Right.
can figure out what's going on with your life and yourself to kind of heal a little bit and then go out there because again, like Lawrence said earlier, you gonna bleed on people that didn't cut you.
Right.
That's what's happening, right? You going out there and you're taking your hurt out on people that had no part in the hurt process in the first place. So checking on yourself, making sure you're good before you proceed is a big part of it. And like I said, at the end of the day, when you don't do that type of stuff, people should be seeing you as a red flag.
And they probably notice you as a red flag already. They're just you probably fine, so they don't really care. Brothers be like, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't care, man. I heard the homie, you know what I'm saying, hollered at her, you know what I'm saying? Dudes do not care in a lot of cases. So
All right, Lawrence and Tracy, what do you think about people who does it stand out as a red flag when people say they don't have many friends? If somebody's talking to you and I don't have many friends, that's why they want to be around you constantly. That's why they want to, constantly hover around you and be in your world because they don't have many friends. Is that a red flag when people don't have a lot of friends?
I think it depends on the generation, and I'm gonna say it that way, because this younger generation, they don't have a lot of friends. They were never really taught how to engage with other people. They've grown up with these devices. So engaging face to face with real people, not your social media people, but with real people, is a challenge for them. So we have to keep it in perspective when what generations we're talking about when we talk about hanging out with real friends, because this is hanging out to a younger generation.
Right. That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And so for me, I don't have a lot of friends, but I didn't create, let me rephrase that. I don't have a lot of friends because of the way I grew up, being the oldest of 3 girls. My sisters ended up being the people that I became friends with.
Right.
You know, and so I'm real iffy on that, just because of the way of the nature of our communities have been. Right. People in our generation traveled a lot. You might have grew up in one city, then went to college in another city, and now you're living in a totally different city. So relationships were not necessarily built the way that our parents built relationships and our grandparents built relationships, because those relationships were built on communities. And so we don't have those communities anymore in that sense of the word. So when a person now becomes your everything, oh, he's my everything, or she's my everything, that terminology is red flag to me. However, if in the course of your life, meaning a year, in the course of 365 days, if you can't tell me things you've done for yourself and people you've hung out with, then I'm getting a little cautious, going, okay, wait a minute. Now, you don't do things that bring joy to your life with other people other than your spouse. I mean, let's think about it. Or your boyfriend, your boo, or your babe. Then what do you do outside of them?
Right. You need some hobbies.
Yeah,
folks that have some hobby friends and some stuff. Yeah. You gotta have. Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't focus on quantity though when it comes to friends, because I know a lot of people, but even some of my closest friends don't know a lot about me, and that's through therapy and stuff. Find out that because of my past trauma somewhere, I don't like to share a lot of stuff with a lot of people. So just because you might think, okay, she got a whole lot of friends, so that means she's, it's not a red flag. But she don't have a whole lot of friends, that's a red flag. Like, I got a lot of friends, but I uncovered things myself, therapy wise. But if somebody didn't, that's something that they got trust issues and some more stuff going on there. So don't take quantity of friendships as something to move with the green light.
And I would agree with that too, because I would like to think I know a lot of people and have a lot of friends, but associating with a lot of them, ain't always the best thing when you kind of grew up how we grew up. I grew up seeing a lot of people be shady. I grew up seeing the people that said that they love you almost, selling you out completely. I'm meaning some of the dirtiest stuff I've seen people do didn't come from folks necessarily out in the streets, even though I experienced it came from the folks in the immediate circle of your family that said that they love you. So I'm always leery of that. So I always take exception to that in a lot of spaces. So I'm more careful with, are you a real true friend? You get what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it in that way, because I don't think everybody is your friend. I kind of operate in the concept of friend shows himself friendly. How friendly are you to me, and vice versa? So I kind of look at it in that way.
I think also, if I can add, I think the key to it is, even if a person does not have a lot of friends, if they got a couple of people that they associate with, for me, I'm going to look at the quality of the people that you hang with.
Yeah.
Because if the quality of the people that you hang with are not something that I would say, okay, because again, association brings assimilation. And so the truth of the matter is, if a person hanging with somebody who's hood or who's street or whatever, and I'm talking about dating her, then I'm saying to myself, if these are your friends, I don't need to have any part of trying to go further with you. That's just me now. I'm just saying, because I don't want to have my person that I'm looking to date and they're hanging with people who are not something that I want to be around, because I'm saying she must be just like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll stay away from that for right now.
Right.
Not just right now. I'm going to go and leave.
Lawrence,
but what's that group? I think you better leave me alone. Pack your bags, get home.
Hey, Lauren said he don't need to be hanging around with Sexy Red.
I was just gonna say that. If your friends is the ones that's
back in the day,
out the window, they twerking out the window and they cheating on their man, like and
right.
Like, come on now.
So some of us know our friends, and we don't want to be around. We don't want to have too many of our associates around other people.
Right.
So that's true. I know.
So now that we're talking about friends, and this is another part of it. What about you're talking to somebody and your friends who know you well and who've been around you and know kind of your personality, know your history, they don't like the person that you're talking to. Is that a red flag? Because a lot of times, that holds a lot of weight when, especially with women, you show up with this guy and your homegirls are like, girl,
Should they be
like, hold on.
or is it like,
No, I mean sometimes I tell my sons sometimes when other people see things in the people you're dating, like if I meet a young lady that they're talking to and I sense something that they don't because they're not looking at the same things I'm looking at, like
Right.
so
Right.
I'm looking at certain things and I'm noticing things and I'm like, hey son, you might want to you might want to check into this a little bit more. Because this is what I saw. They're quick to tell you, Dad, you're just older. You just don't understand what's going on nowadays. I get what you're saying, but I'm looking at it from a different standpoint.
Spade is a spade every single deck of cards. So
right.
Fast, man. I'm telling you, slow down, brother. Slow down. She fast.
So Lawrence and Tracy, like what kind of stuff have you heard about that? Like I know you've been in situations, or maybe yourself, where you might have been talking to somebody that your friends didn't like or that your friends didn't really appreciate. Have you ever dealt with that before?
I'm gonna go back to what you just said. I did that with my son.
Right.
I met.
Son, you got red flags. Hold on now.
To be honest with you, I met one of his, one girl he was dating at the time, and my first time meeting her, so I ain't say nothing to him that day. But I called him and said, hey man, hey, that right there ain't gonna work, bro. I said, I ain't trying to tell you what to do or who to be with, but that won't work. I said, but again, he did, what I've done in the past. He just skirted right past that red flag, and now he's catching it. He's singing that song by the other lady. I'm catching hell.
Hey, Teddy Pendergrass told us to let it go.
Huh?
You can sing, can't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell.
No, I just be joking a little bit. Though.
Nah, you can sing, Lauren. You can sing.
Teddy Pendergrass told us a long time ago, I think I better let it go. So
but I think it's hard for a lot of people to even receive that type of energy from their friends because I say this because some people do have friends that they doubt in their circle, which is crazy to me. If you have people that are in your circle and you call them your friends, but you don't really have a big belief in them, they shouldn't be in your circle in my estimation. But hey,
that's red flags there too. That they are looking past.
And that's a big thing too. Now we're talking about relationships primarily when we're talking about these red flags people, but any type of relationship, whether it be, not dating, but friendship or whatever, like there's red flags there too that you need to be aware of. And a lot of these red flags apply across the board to anybody that you're dealing with. And you need to be aware of them because, they're warnings. The red flags are warnings.
Right.
And, like Miss Tracy said earlier, there are different color flags. Sometimes you've had yellow flags all over the place and you chose to ignore them. But by the time you get that red flag, you went past the pink, now you're on the red. You should be aware of, what's going on, what's in front of you, that there might be a possible issue and that you need to find a remedy or you need to move around.
Right. Because those red flags do become flags on fire when you ignore them.
And like you said at the beginning, those when you look back.
Hey, listen, even Paul in the book of Corinthians, he said, "There's nothing that comes upon a man or a woman that they ain't got a way of escape."
Right.
So we can overlook it, or we can just take that route to go back the other way.
You put those flags and And the drinks, the little margaritas and stuff. They collecting them.
Well, and that's a good segue to another thing that's on this list of red flags is excessive alcohol usage.
Oh, yeah.
A drunk person, a person who stays drunk, who stays inebriated all the time. That's a red flag because
Absolutely.
they're self-medicating, you know. But
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not the expert, but you know, Lawrence Tracy talked to us about that. People who are severe alcoholics, that's a big red flag.
They shouldn't even be entertaining that unless they're the same way.
And then if we're going back to the self-awareness, why are you self-medicating? What is it that you trying to from or try to numb? Because the truth of the matter is none of that's gonna work.
No.
Right.
So let's do the work, because the very thing that you're trying to numb yourself from is the very thing that's still coming up every single time you try to get into a relationship.
Still a problem.
It's still a problem. When the drunkenness wears off, the problem is still there.
Facts. Attracted somebody, yeah, that's a tough one, man. You know, alcohol, yeah, man. I don't understand it. Like somebody who gets sloppy drunk, and you're attracted to that, like I over and over again, like that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Something wrong with that person too, though. Again, it's on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. And that goes back to what Trish Michelle brought up earlier, which is trauma bonding. A lot of that is similar in the intake in that is they have a similar issue that's not a good thing, but they bond over that similar issue, and it's not helping either one of them. But you know, they have something in common, so I guess that something in common is better than nothing for them. So they just gonna share the drinks.
Hey, you don't want to be alone, so you find something that is compatible or comparable, and you just kind of flow with it and roll.
Look, one could be self-medicating, and the other one grew up in a household where their parents was drunk all the time, so they was always taking care of them. And here they are,
right?
They making it, thinking they working, and it ain't working.
Yeah, holy alcoholic matrimony.
Well, I'm gonna say this: when you're dealing with somebody who drinks a lot of alcohol, you better be aware that you looking for somebody that's compatible, and they're gonna turn into somebody that's compatible. Because people, when they get drunk, and most people get to the point where they like to fight and do wild stuff. There's some people who lay back when they get drunk, but most drunks they turn up. They turn up when they get drunk.
Now,
but you also got
the combustible.
You also got to consider that drunk sex. Some people love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
I mean, I remember in the morning, but they like it right there.
I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I would love to see the stat of how many babies were made after two people who were, you know, drunk the night before and just kind of had a one-night stand type of thing, you know. I would love to look that stat up and see what those numbers are. But
I'm pretty sure you can take that back a while. You know, a lot of people in the 70s were made off that bumpy face, that E&J, I'm pretty sure.
That bumpy face, that gin, yes sir.
Gin make you sin.
Folks was drinking Night Train and Southern Comfort and mixing it with Kool-Aid and everything.
What was it? Boone's Farm.
Boone's Farm.
That was be 2020.
That mad dog.
Folks is getting it in. Hey man, listen. All of these are issues that we've seen. I know I've seen it. I've seen babies created from this space, from this atmosphere. So I've seen people go to jail over this atmosphere. I've seen people get stabbed over this. I've seen a lot of stuff come from just these things that we just ignored. I ain't worried about it, you know.
One of the things that we're seeing more and more of in our community, especially, we're seeing a lot of murders of couples, of whether the guy kills a girl, the girl kills a guy. And again, a lot of that is people passing by red flags.
Right.
Just in Atlanta, a young lady killed her boyfriend. She called her dad. They were arguing. She called her dad. Dad came over and shot at the boy, didn't hit him. She shot him and killed him. Down here in this area, just had a guy that killed his girlfriend. It's just like we're seeing so much of that. Again, most times it's because they saw that coming up. Right. And the other part of it is young ladies can see sometimes, or young men can see that anger that came out a certain way, and they just overlook it, and then they end up in relationships where it gets volatile, and at the end of the day, somebody loses their life because they walk right past the red flags. So when a person sees that rage or that anger come out in the person as a result of a conversation or something, I tell people don't ever overlook those kind of red flags, because they're definitely going to cost you in the end.
That leads
I definitely said somebody, the moment he raised his voice and said something crazy, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm out.
You're done, because you don't ever got to talk to me like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Tracy, how would you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patricia. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying we're not going to create no pattern and safe space to talk like that either. No.
Right. Now, Tracy, how would you counsel somebody in that space? Is it like Patricia saying, you only got one time to talk to me like that and I'm out? Or what would you recommend if someone walks in and says, hey, I'm dealing with this type of issue? What would you recommend in that space?
Definitely knowing, which goes back to what I said, your wants, needs, expectations, and non-negotiables as a person. To me, when we talk about wants, needs, expectations, and non-negotiables, I said the wants, needs, and expectations change, but one thing that really does not change are those non-negotiables.
Right.
So a non-negotiable for me is that you can't hit me and you can't call me out my name.
Right.
Non-negotiable for me.
Right.
And it was non-negotiable when we were dating, because I explained to him, listen, this is the foolishness I grew up in. This is the dysfunction I grew up in. And so because it was so, my parents were so physically abusive to each other and verbally abusive to each other. Listen, there's a certain level of decibel that if your voice hits that decibel, you start to sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to me.
Right.
I can't even,
yeah.
Right. I can't even process what you're saying, let alone allow you to put your hands on me.
She let me put her hands on. Stop playing.
Hold on. We know what hands was laid. Praise the Lord.
I'm sorry. Y'all go ahead.
No. It's all right. You're good. You're perfectly in line. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
So that goes back again to that individual. What are your non-negotiables? Because the moment you tell me it's a non-negotiable and then it happens, it becomes a negotiable.
Right.
And so you got to be able to stand firm on your non-negotiable.
But at the same time, though, if a person has come up in that type of environment where they saw that as being acceptable,
normal, right? Yeah,
they're desensitized to it a little bit, right?
They're not gonna hear that part about non-negotiable. That's not even up for discussion.
But I'm saying learning better, because after you gotta teach. Well, they've got to want to do better, and you've got to help them get to that point.
Right. I agree with
that. Especially if they're with you,
you could kick them to the curb. And they can be like, what? And you can be like, there's a therapist for that. And you go find that out. And I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, goodbye. Like, you still don't have to put up with it. And just because the person ain't trying to hear that, you're non-negotiable, that's fine. But we're not doing that over here.
I want you to unpack, but you can unpack over there.
Yeah, you're going to unpack over there. Now, if a person is not willing to consider what you have as a non-negotiable, then that, to me, that's an easy, I'm good.
Right.
That's a red flag.
Right.
Yeah.
You won't even consider my feeling, how I feel about how this triggers me. So why should I be giving you the time of day when I come from an abusive household? And if you talk to me this kind of way, what that triggers. And if a person is not willing to work on that, to me, that's an easy out. Like, yeah, I'm good.
Or they try to make you be okay with it and try to get you to, change your thought process on it. And
that's manipulation right there, though.
Right. But that's you knowing your boundaries, because boundaries have to be enforced by the person that puts them in place. Right. So if you got a sign that says no trespassing, violators will be what? Prosecuted. Okay, so not only do you know this is a boundary, but you also know the consequence of crossing over that boundary. The same goes when it comes to my emotions. I know what my boundaries are, and I'm responsible. I am responsible for making sure my boundaries are not crossed.
Right.
So the first time that my boundary is crossed, now it becomes a suggestion.
Right.
I suggest that you don't do this. No. This is my boundary, and violators will be prosecuted. I'm done.
Well, amen.
You will be prosecuted, and there is no hashtag maybe at the end.
You can't. You run the risk of yeah. So
And that's definitely a red flag. Somebody who is not respecting your boundaries. So, folks, if you got somebody who's a habitual line stepper and they trying to prove to you that they want to be with you and they continue to do things that you've told them not to do, red flag, and they need to go.
That's it.
They need to
peace
go.
sign. Hit the peace sign on that.
Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of stuff we talked about tonight, people have to understand again the context of what we're talking about. Red flag. That red flag, when we bring that up, when people bring that up in conversation, that red flag is the same thing as a stop sign, the same thing as a red light. That means stop.
Right.
That means discontinue. Don't go forward.
Right.
You know, so you have to understand that and stop, you know, allowing people to talk you into moving forward, into overlooking, into, you know, downplaying these things because they're going to cost you every single time.
For sure.
Every single time.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I think we've given you enough information and you know, we steered you in the right direction. So we're gonna let you let you continue your lives. But before we get out of here, we want to thank Lawrence and Tracy,
Yes.
the Red Flag coaches, for joining us, for giving you some jewels that you can take with you, and hopefully that you know you can utilize these things in your daily trek so that you don't fall into these traps that these people are trying to set. Because a lot of times these people are definitely out here setting traps. Because as they said before, not only men, women nowadays are predators as well. Everybody's looking for prey. So, you know, it's okay for somebody to PRA for you, but don't let them PREY for you. PREY on you. Yeah, EY on you. So it's a totally different context. So
AY and EY, y'all gotta get it together.
Yeah. So Lawrence and Tracy, thank you for joining us today. Before we get up out of here, please tell the people about your platform and how they can get in touch with you.
And don't forget the book.
Oh yeah, okay. So all of our platforms, for the most part, are the Red Flag coaches, and I actually put together a dating playbook, and I want anyone who goes to the any of our social media platforms, and you write in the comments Red Flag coach or Red Flag, I'm going to send you part of this ebook, which is called Heartfelt Conversations. It's the actual ultimate playbook of questions to ask while dating. And there are so many different categories that I have, because the truth of the matter is, I tell women all the time, y'all just don't know what questions to ask. So you don't have any information. And so one of the main questions, the first question that I'll tell people to ask each other is, who are you? Don't tell me about your job. Tell me who you are. They get stuck right there. And so anyway, go to any of those social media platforms, Red Flag Coach, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and just hit Red Flag, whatever you want to put in there, DM us or whatever, and I'll send an ebook as it relates to some of these questions. About 150 questions, but I'm only going to send the most, I ain't going to say all of them important. 25. I'm going to send 25 questions from different categories.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the book, I was going to say also, the book is on our website, theredflagcoach.com. I actually wrote a book a few years ago called If It's Love It Will Last. I have another book on there that I finished. It's actually called Born for Greatness, but the third book is at the publisher now. It's called He's Not Your Man, It's Just Your Turn.
Woo.
All right. Well, amen.
Mattress or marriage.
Mattress or marriage.
It's on the website. It should be back, pretty soon. So yeah, it's called He's Not Your Man, It's Just Your Turn.
All right.
Now, it definitely sounds like my dad. My dad always echoes that sentiment. That person doesn't belong to you. It's just your turn. So, but yeah, like I said again, we appreciate you all coming through. You gave us so much great information, gave us a lot of jewels, and we will be sure to make sure that we continue to support your movement, and make sure, audience, you all go and support them. Go to their content, go to their sites. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow them to continue to get this good knowledge, and make sure you get those books, because reading is fundamental, and that's where you get the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So y'all need to make sure y'all get those books as well. So we appreciate y'all for coming through.
And we also have coaching program as well. So we coach couples who are ready to be married. We coach couples who are already married. And we coach singles and individuals who are wanting to get into the dating game. So we do that as well. And then on my platform, as a matter of fact, I am the menopause midwife. And so for women, so women who are going through perimenopause and menopause, I've started the menopause midwife on YouTube, and on Facebook, I'm just Tracy Knighton on Facebook. But the menopause midwife, I got into that a couple of years ago with my own experience, and just Black women in general not having anyone to talk to about that space. And menopause is more than just hot flashes and night sweats. It's a lot more that's to it. And so I started the menopause midwife as a way to help Black women understand this natural transition doesn't have to be something we survive. It can actually be something we thrive in, and we can come out of it being the better version of ourselves, the 2.0 version of ourselves, to live this exceptional life. So the program that I use is called the Spice Program. I actually help women in perimenopause and menopause get their spice back.
Okay.
Okay, right. Yeah, we need to tell Halle Berry to hit you up then, because yeah, that news that she just put out there. Yeah, we definitely need some help.
I'm like, wait, what? But that's not unusual. That's not unusual when it comes to Black women when we go to the doctor.
Okay. And again, we loved having you guys for sure. And as we see your content coming across our pages and our platforms, we will be sure to share it on our end, and we do that for everyone that comes a part of our show. You guys have been on our show, so we'll be looking forward to sharing some of your great content. So
it'd be great.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Knowledge.
Tricia Michelle, talk to the people. Let them know something before we get out of here.
Look, we just came and gave y'all some advice on red flags. So if y'all continue to water these red flags, or shall I say, collect them, I mean, I guess that's on y'all at that point, because we trying to help y'all.
Right.
Who they is? Mario Brothers?
We getting too old, y'all.
Yes.
Like, why do y'all want to deal with the stress? Right. I'm stressed for y'all when I listen and look and have to give advice or hear somebody's story on whatever the red flags are. And I ain't perfect. I ain't saying that to nobody, but I'm just saying, like, don't be afraid to do the research. Like you said, he's got a book out. Like, read up, learn how to better yourself so that you can become a better person and make better options and be something that you like. What do you bring to the table? Like Tracy said, what are you doing? Like, what is it that you're adding? Maybe you're the problem. So go check on that.
Right.
So you might be the walking red flag too. Anywho, with that being said, y'all can find me, Tricia Michelle _YT on every social media platform, really. And then, of course, the Fire Session. That's where I'm at every Tuesday, checking out some great content and just chopping it up and talking mess and giving y'all good information. So that's where y'all can find me.
Gotta get y'all this dope content.
Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Talk to the people.
Man, listen, this was excellent. We came away with a lot of good advice that I trust that each and every listener, each and every person will kind of take heed to and look forward to applying. That mattress or marriage, yeah, we need to put that on a t-shirt. I'm just saying, because that was fire. But man, I appreciate it. This was an excellent show. Again, every Tuesday, we look forward to bringing y'all some great content, man. We search out some of the best guests that we could possibly find, and we look forward to bringing them to y'all. And so here we are again, and we will continue to get y'all this dope content. Y'all go check out the page, Fire Session. Go subscribe, go share the content, and just continue to rock with us, man. We got everything on this platform. We got Patricia, she do hair. She works at the hospital. We got wine, we got books, we got Ken who do producing and DJ. We got it all on this show. So you can't miss it. You can't miss it.
Facts. Well, we appreciate everybody for joining us on the panel. We appreciate everybody joining us in the comments. Y'all showed out today. Y'all put a lot of information out there. Y'all was even having conversations with each other in the comments. So that's what I love to see, that we're giving something that people are talking about outside of the show, and that you would continue the conversation throughout the week, and go to your friends and have these same type of conversations, because you're giving out that information that could possibly help somebody else, and that could change the trajectory of somebody else's life.
Right.
So, we're appreciative of that. Y'all can catch me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. Y'all can catch us on all social media platforms. Just type in FIYAH, like this on my hat, Fire, and we'll pop right up. Go to the YouTube, hit like and subscribe. That way you won't miss anything that we put out. Shorts, full episodes, live episodes, any content we do, it's right there at your fingertips, and you can go check it out at any time. Again, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. The Red Flag coaches, y'all already know. We appreciate y'all. Y'all are part of the family now, so we're gonna be bugging y'all, and we're gonna be calling on y'all.
Yeah,
let's do it.
We're gonna bring you on some shows that ain't talking about relationships. We're just gonna bring you on for regular sets. Yeah.
So we have some other people who we can go to for experience and advice. You know what I'm saying? So y'all know when we come with the Red Flag coaches, we come with some heavy hitters. You know what I'm saying? So y'all tune in to make sure that y'all get the information, but y'all continue to follow them and get their information that they have on their platforms as well. Buy the book, support, show love. Y'all already know how we do it. It's the Fire Session. Peace.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fire Session.